The headlines of this hour on VTV News. State President attends Apec CEO Summit and delivers speech on sustainable and inclusive development. Later on, Vietnam strives to maintain CPI at reasonable level until year-end. And in our world news, US and Chinese leaders hold talks to repair ties at Apec Summit 2023.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is currently 3 p.m. local time and you're tuning in to 30 minutes of VTV News. I'm Dylan Lei with the latest updates. Now, during the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation or APEC Leaders Week 2023, State President Võ Văn Thưởng delivered a speech at the APEC CEO Summit. He emphasized three key aspects of sustainable and inclusive development. Firstly, he highlighted the need for new thinking and approaches to addressing issues. Secondly, he stressed the importance of leveraging APEC's contribution to tackle challenges. And lastly, he discussed Vietnam's perspective and development orientation in a rapidly changing world. The state president pointed out that since 2019, more than 3,000 trade barriers have been established, negatively impacting global economic output. As a result, APEC must reaffirm its commitment to maintaining market openness, promoting international economic cooperation, and supporting an open, inclusive, fair, and sustainable global economy. The state president also called upon the business community to collaborate in implementing sustainable development commitments and pursuing long-term economic, environmental, and social goals. Within the framework of the APEC Summit 2023, State President Võ Văn Thưởng delivered an important speech during an exchange with experts from the U.S. Council on Foreign Relations. He discussed the global situation as well as Vietnam's foreign policy and the Vietnam-U.S. Comprehensive Strategic Partnership for Peace, Cooperation, and Sustainable Development. The state president emphasized Vietnam's readiness to contribute to international efforts in responding to climate change, protecting the environment, participating in United Nations peacekeeping activities, and engaging in international humanitarian relief efforts. He expressed Vietnam's commitment to peace, cooperation, and development and highlighted the importance of countries working together, sharing responsibilities, and building visions for the benefit of the people and the international community. On Thursday morning, National Assembly Chairman Vương Đình Huệ presided over a session of the National Assembly Standing Committee to discuss and provide opinions on the amended land law project. So far, 6 issues have been narrowed down to one solution that has received support from members of the National Assembly Standing Committee. This solution states that individuals who are not directly involved in agricultural production can receive land for rice cultivation based on provincial and district level planning. Regarding the 5 remaining issues with 2 possible solutions, which are the rights and obligations of Vietnamese people abroad regarding residential land use and the conditions for compensation and resettlement support, the National Assembly chairman proposed that the inspection agency continue to work with relevant agencies to clarify the solutions and submit them to the National Assembly for further consideration. On Wednesday, the 17th ASEAN Defense Ministers Meeting, ADMM, the 10th ASEAN Defense Ministers Meeting Plus, or ADMM Plus, and related conferences officially opened in Jakarta, Indonesia. During the 17th ASEAN Defense Ministers Meeting, ASEAN Defense Ministers adopted the Jakarta Joint Declaration on Peace, Prosperity, and Security. They also adopted the guidelines for the implementation of the observer status granted to Timor-Leste in ADMM and ADMM+. Additionally, ASEAN ministers called for an immediate ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas conflict and expressed their desire to support Myanmar in finding a peaceful and sustainable solutions to its current situation. On Thursday morning, ASEAN defense ministers will convene with partners from Australia, China, India, Japan, New Zealand, South Korea, Russia, and the United States within the framework of the ADMM+. Moving on to other news, Vietnam's economy continued to shine on the global economic landscape in the first 10 months of this year. One of the highly praised indicators has been the control of the Consumer Price Index, or CPI. It is projected that by the end of this year, the CPI will increase by around 3.5%, which is significantly below the initial target of 4.5% set at the beginning of the year.
The main reason for the 0.48 percentage point decrease in the Consumer Price Index, CPI, is the approximately 13% drop in gasoline prices compared to the same period last year. Additionally, price control measures have been successfully implemented for categories such as basic necessities, food, education expenses, and construction materials during the first 10 months.
We are making efforts to ensure a sufficient supply of goods at competitive prices. In the case of essential items such as rice and sugar, Ho Chi Minh City has made several necessary adjustments.
The government is actively managing state-controlled goods and services to control inflation and maintain stability in the cost of living. Key sectors such as healthcare, education, and household electricity are staying stable.
The prices of healthcare services have not changed, and the costs of educational services have also remained stable.
The Price Management Committee is actively directing ministries and localities to focus on essential items, such as staple foods, especially rice, during global price increases. We have also instructed collaboration between the Ministry of Industry and Trade and the Ministry of Finance to flexibly manage fuel prices in order to ensure a stable supply.
The inflation rate for the first 10 months of this year is 4.38%, indicating a decreasing trend. Starting at 5.21% in January, it decreased to 3.43% by October. This downward trend is expected to continue in the last 2 months of the year, reflecting effective price management efforts.
The Prime Minister of Vietnam has issued a decision approving the scheme on anti-counterfeiting and consumer protection in e-commerce until 2025. This decision serves as the foundation for enhancing the policy on consumer protection in e-commerce activities in Vietnam by 2025, given the increasing dominance of e-commerce and online goods trading in daily life.
After a long period of supervision, the Market Management Force in Gia Lai Province inspected Trương Ngọc Quyen's household business. This business regularly conducts live stream sales through various e-commerce platforms. They use shipping and express delivery services to fulfill thousands of orders per day. However, all of the products sold are identified as fake goods.
Managing intellectual property is a challenging field as there are some areas where violations may occur but the size may not be clear.
Recently, there have been numerous cases of e-commerce related violations that have been referred to the police for the investigation and prosecution. The Thanh Hóa Provincial Police, for instance, have recently pressed charges against 2 individuals for counterfeiting over 13,000 products. However, the legal process is currently facing difficulties in identifying trading locations, tracking warehouses, and addressing transactions conducted through intermediaries.
For us, as well as other authorities, the handling of cases is still limited.
The Ministry of Industry and Trade is expected to finalize Decree 98, which aims to address violations in e-commerce and enhance management capacity.
Over the past 10 months, market management authorities nationwide have examined and handled more than 62,000 cases, contributing over $16 million to the budget. The General Department of Market Management emphasizes the importance of establishing a unified network management system to promptly address any violations.
Vietnam has emerged as the world's top exporter of cinnamon. According to the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Vietnam exported nearly 75,000 tons of cinnamon, valued at over $220 million in the first 10 months of this year. This represents a 19.2% increase in volume, but a 1.3% decrease in value compared to the same period last year. In 2022, Vietnam accounted for 34% of the global supply of cinnamon. The primary export markets for Vietnamese cinnamon are India, the US, and Bangladesh. However, despite its volume advantage, Vietnam lacks a national-level strategic direction for the sustainable development of cinnamon exports, mainly due to a lack of mechanisms for research and timely responses to market requirements. And now let's have a look at the exchange rate between the Vietnam dong and some world currencies in today's trading session. Coming up next on VTV News. Heavy rains in Guangxi and Quang Ngai put strains on prevention of natural disaster efforts. And later on, Central Highland Women's initiatives to advance community tourism. Now, to better understand the recommendations of the United Nations Special Rapporteur on the right to development regarding Vietnam's achievements, our reporter had an interview with Mr. Surad Deva on the sidelines of the press conference regarding this issue.
Well, thank you for joining our interview today. Well, please share more about the concept of the right to development and the relationship between this right and sustainable development, and what recommendation do you have for Vietnam and other countries to address common global challenges in ensuring this right? So, right to development has a key instrument at the international level. This is the Declaration on Right to Development, which was adopted in 1986. And that declaration articulates the 4 dimensions of right to development: economic, social, political, and cultural. I think in terms of political commitment, it is very clear that the government is committed to ensuring that people of ethnic minorities are not left behind. They have all the development aspirations and opportunities. Public services are accessible to them. So in terms of commitment, I think that is definitely there. The government has made progress in relation to certain sustainable development goals than the other. Poverty reduction is definitely one of those. Then in terms of access to water and sanitation, also significant progress has been made. We can also see progress in terms of infrastructure, developing innovation and technology. I think I see progress in terms of some laws are there in place to involve people in consultation. And I think the government of Vietnam needs to do more in terms of this participation approach. What is your assessment of Vietnam initiative and highlights as a member of United Nations Human Rights Council for the 2023-2025 terms and Vietnam participation in the Universal Periodic Review UPR? I very much hope that the government of Vietnam plays the leadership role going forward, because it's a growing economy. We have vibrant youth population, and this is a good opportunity for Vietnam to lead from the front, I would say. But also in relation to human rights, they should lead from the front. And I am optimistic. They can also share peer learning. If they have got something right here in terms of, let us say, reducing poverty or achieving gender equality, Vietnam can share that with other countries in Asia. Well, once again, thank you for joining interview with Vietnam Television.
Heavy rains have been persisting for 2 days in Guangxi Province, particularly in Hai Long District, where rainfall reaches around 400 millimeters per day. The water levels in streams have risen to alert level 3, resulting in flooding in many areas. Local authorities have mobilized forces to assist in evacuating residents from low-lying areas to safer locations. So far, they have successfully relocated 1,000 households. And currently, there are still 6,000 houses affected by floods and experiencing traffic congestion. Guangxi Province has also instructed localities to develop plans to ensure the provision of nutrition for people during their relocation period. The floods in Guangxi have tragically claimed the life of one person, with 2 people reported missing in Vingling and Hunhua districts. Moreover, numerous traffic routes, sea embankments, and irrigation dikes have been severely eroded. More than 50,000 forestry seedlings and nearly 120 hectares of fruit trees have been submerged in water. Additionally, over 1,000 cattle and poultry have perished and have been swept away. Meanwhile, after several days of heavy rain, many roads and transportation infrastructure in Guang Province have been damaged by landslides. This has resulted in congestion and isolation in residential areas. Authorities and locals are actively working to resolve the situation.
Heavy rain over the past 3 days has caused a landslide at kilometer 7+650 on Route DT 626 in Zilang Town, Sunha District, Guang Province. The slope of the road collapsed, covering approximately 100 meters of it in mud. Additionally, another landslide nearby is causing traffic problems for local residents.
It's quite risky due to the rain, which has made the ground mushy. If I want to get through, I will need a couple of people to help push the motorbike. I can't do it alone.
There have been more than 70 landslide locations where soil and rocks have overflowed onto the road surface. Local authorities are currently clearing 7,500 cubic meters of obstacles to ensure safety and maintain smooth traffic flow.
We follow the motto for on the spot. In areas prone to landslides, we position rock barriers nearby to quickly address any road breaks. For other locations, we actively monitor for potential landslides and keep machinery nearby for prompt cleanup if necessary.
Heavy rain continues to fall in the mountainous areas, increasing the risk of landslides. Local authorities are responding urgently by reviewing high-risk areas and implementing evacuation plans for residents in vulnerable zones.
The Ho Chi Minh Communist Youth Union is actively encouraging and motivating young people to start businesses in rural areas. This movement aims to boost agricultural economic development, inspire entrepreneurial spirit among the youth, and contribute to building a new rural environment.
During the Ok Ombok Festival in Sopchang Province, traditional boat races known as Gangor hold great cultural significance for the Khmer people. Thach Rosidon, driven by his passion for the sport, has ingeniously created a scaled-down version of the traditional 30 meters, 3.5-ton boat. This lightweight miniature boat serves a unique souvenir for tourists, enabling them to carry a piece at the festival wherever they go. Don has initiated the Mini Gangor project, through which he shares his craftsmanship with the local youth.
I'm working on the project and training local youth so that they can build a Gangor like mine.
This is one of the 40 projects in the final round of the Rural Youth Startup Project 2023 competition. A notable trend this year is contestants incorporating local cultural stories and native colors to enhance their projects. Many participants have already developed tangible products and generated income, surpassing mere conceptual ideas.
Youngsters are now innovating and leveraging technology in their businesses rather than engaging in traditional business activities. However, they still hold dear the traditional values of their homeland. This combination is what makes the project special.
In addition to the startup competition, the Central Youth Union has recognized and awarded 42 successful young entrepreneurs for their contributions to rural development. This recognition serves as motivation for young individuals who, despite having opportunities in urban areas, choose to return to and uplift the countryside.
In highland areas, women are utilizing local landscapes, resources, and culture to empower themselves through community tourism. This not only helps them overcome poverty, but also raises the status of women in regions where their voices were previously marginalized.
The lives of women in Sin Sui Ho, Lai Châu have undergone significant changes since they embraced community tourism. Hang Titsu, a pioneer who pursued higher education, returned to her home village to collaborate with the community in building the tourism initiative.
Initially, I assisted everyone in setting up their homes, welcoming guests, and promoting services. Now that everyone is familiar with their tasks, I have returned to managing my homestay and have even opened a new cafe.
Since 2015, Sinsui-ho, a destination in Laichou, has attracted the attention of travelers. Women in the village are now actively involved in tourism, with many taking on leadership roles in half of the participating families.
Nowadays, women have numerous opportunities for personal growth, which in turn contributes to the advancement of the community.
In Basat, Lào, Chao Thi-Yen serves as a role model for many Zhao girls. She has achieved remarkable success by winning a full scholarship of $50,000 for master's studies in Germany and Italy. After completing her degree, Yen made the decision to start her career in Sapa. Yen is now furthering her income-generating path by establishing a community guest house, aiming to enhance the professionalism of local tourism.
I aim to increase awareness campaigns among the locals to promote a greater sense of responsibility.
Women in highland and rural areas are increasingly showing courage in pursuing their own entrepreneurial paths. Their light blossoms in the mountains and forests, contributing to the beauty of villages that continue to thrive despite challenges.
Coming up next on our World News. US and Chinese leaders hold talks to repair ties at Apec Summit 2023. And later on, UN Security Council adopts a resolution for humanitarian pauses in Gaza. Moving on to our world news, U.S. President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping have started high-level talks at the Apec Summit in San Francisco, California. This direct dialogue, occurring early Thursday Vietnam time, is of great importance for the advancement of U.S.-China relations.
The summit between the United States President and the Chinese President is being held at the beautiful Villa Lee Garden Estate in South San Francisco. The venue is perfect for open and productive discussions.
That you and I understand each other clearly, leader to leader, with no misconceptions or miscommunication. We have to ensure that competition does not veer into conflict. And we also have to manage it responsibly, that competition.
For China and the United States, turning their back on each other is not an option. It is unrealistic for one side to remodel the other, and conflict and confrontation has unbearable consequences for both sides. The world is big enough to accommodate both countries, and one country's success is an opportunity for the other.
The talks are expected to address important matters in the bilateral relationship, with the focus on re-establishing and sustaining crucial communication channels between the two countries. Additionally, the leaders will discuss global security, political hotspots, and economic trade.
The United Nations Security Council passed a resolution on Wednesday calling for urgent and extended humanitarian pauses in the Gaza Strip. The resolution was adopted with 12 votes in favor, 0 against, and 3 abstentions from Russia, the United States, and the United Kingdom. That is the first resolution since the recent escalation of conflict between Israel and Hamas on October the 7th. Earlier, 4 draft resolutions failed due to disagreements among permanent Security Council members. This resolution, which is legally binding, also demands the unconditional release of hostages in Gaza. However, it is important to note that this is a temporary humanitarian ceasefire and does not address a permanent cessation of hostilities.
The result of the voting is as follows.
In the latest trading session, the U.S. stock market extended its 4-day winning streak. This was driven by favorable producer price index or PPI data, which indicated a faster than expected decline in wholesale inflation. All major indices closed higher, with the Dow Jones leading the way with a giant gain of nearly 0.5%, surpassing 34,991 points. The positive trend was consistent throughout the day, reflecting a 0.5% monthly drop in October PPI. This decline is the most significant since April 2020 and can be attributed to a 1.4% reduction in commodity prices. In commodity trading, both types of oil saw significant declines. U.S. West Texas Intermediate WTI crude oil dropped 2.2% to $76.5 per barrel. According to the Thai Ministry of Interior, legal migrant workers from Laos, Myanmar, Cambodia, and Vietnam in Thailand will have extended stay periods while applying for new work visas. The first announcement allows migrant workers with expired permits to stay in Thailand until January the 20th of the following year. Employer must apply for permits to ensure continued legal residence and work until February the 13th, 2025. Children under 18 can stay with their parents, and those over 18 are given an additional 60 days to apply for a new work permit. The second announcement, which came into effect on November the 14th, allows workers from Laos, Cambodia, and Myanmar with expiring 4-year contracts to stay until April the 30th of the following year. And before we say goodbye, let's have a look at the weather forecast. And that is all that we have for this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can visit our website or YouTube channel or download a mobile app VTVgo for more. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.